Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Jim Hogue. I'm Public Affairs Officer for the Army Corps of Engineers. Today, Lieutenant Colonel Hamilton will be joining us. He'll give you an update on the current situation with regard to Army Corps of Engineers operations, and then we'll be glad to take your questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. Give you a quick operational update on where we're at with the Memphis District Corps of Engineers. As most of you are aware, the crest of the Mississippi has actually hit Memphis now. We're looking at approximately 6 inch a day fall off in the river levels up through the weekend and through the middle of next week before we should see it start to pick up steam and drop off about a foot a day is what we're looking at. The crest currently, we're looking at it, is currently cresting down in Helena, which is kind of in the southern part of our area of operation. You should start to see it there as well, start to drop off about 6 inches a day after the long, slow crest moves out in a couple of days. As far as the other basins in our area, we also have, I'm going to take, I know it's kind of hard to see, but on our map over here, we also have the St. Francis River Basin and the White River Basin. Little known fact that both those basins were also in record levels during this event, and we were in basically what we call phase 2 operations in all areas of the district at one time, which has never been done before in this district. Today I'm glad to report that the upper and lower St. Francis Basin, those two in yellow that you see, they fell out of phase 2 and now they're in phase 1, which is basically we scale back our operations in that area as the water recedes. However, obviously in the Mississippi area and through Memphis proper, we are still in phase 2, which is our highest level of activation, as well as the White River area. Currently, we do have just under 100 folks in the field out patrolling the problem areas and making sure we stay on top of those. We've issued 54 pumps to date to different local entities, and we have issued 2.5 million sandbags, as well as about 540 rolls of poly. Right now, the biggest issues are still, in our estimation, still the sand boil issues. We brought some graphic aids because there were a lot of questions yesterday about sand boils, and there's a little bit of confusion as to how serious it is. So we're going to try to give it a little bit of perspective. The left side center is basically the beginning of a sand boil. It's very small, you know, you're talking about 3 inches in diameter, and it starts to boil up. And then it grows, and when it starts to grow and you see that material piping through the levee and start to come up on the other side, what you do is you try to ring it with sandbags. And what that does is you got the pressure of the river on one side of the levee, and on the land side you don't have a lot of pressure. So that water's trying to find a place to go, and it starts to boil up on the land side. So what we do is we put sandbags in there and raise the water level, and what it does is it tries to equalize the pressure. We continue to monitor those and make sure that the water running through those sand boils are basically clear. That's what you want. You don't want to have material moving through there from underneath the levee, because then you've got erosion going on underneath the levee, which will then could cause the levee to sink and eventually fail. These bottom two are kind of ones that we're commonly seeing in our area of operation, and as you can see, those are considered actually large sand boils. These two up here, I know it's really hard to see, but to put some perspective, this is a sand boil we had in Illinois last week that we had to do with rock, and that little orange thing right there, that's a man standing on it. So that's a very, very large sand boil. I mean, this one we're calling the mega sand boil. That thing is huge. So you can get some very, very big ones. So the ones we're seeing down here in the lower part of our area are rather minor. We're considering them minor. We do constantly keep watch on them, making sure that again, it's flowing clear and not material. That's where we get concerned, and then we have to shift strategies and do other things to maintain it. But right now down here, we're not seeing that, so we're very glad of that. The only other area of concern we had in our district area of operation was in the White River Basin. we did have a levee over top, and I just want to address that because there is some misnomers about levee overtoppings. On these federal levees, they're designed to a certain level, and when water flows over top of it, all that means is the water level has exceeded the design of the levee. That doesn't mean the levee is failed. Okay, that's what we want it to do in that area, because we can predict when the water's going to come over it, and we can get people out of that area. So that is what happened in one small area of our area out on the White River Basin. And the good news about that, and all these levees in this area are made out of the same materials, is when that levee overtopped, we didn't see any erosion. And that's where you get really concerned, because that water running over the levee will start to erode away at the levee. And in some cases, especially well up north on the Mississippi, where the material is different. And when that erodes away, that can then cause a breach. And we did not see that. The water in the White River area has already stopped overtopping that levee. So that's real good news. And that just goes to show that these levees down here are made out of good material. They're good and sound in structure. And you know, we just don't have any major concerns right now. They're all performing as designed and as planned. That said, again, the fight continues. We're not letting up by any stretch of the imagination. The water level is starting to recede up here, but I can tell you that the water is still up high. And as long as it is up high, it's right now even higher than we've seen in years, and still at historic levels. So we're going to continue to remain vigilant out there and keep fresh folks out on the levees and make sure we're patrolling them and doing what we need to do to keep the folks safe. And that is the last point I want to make, is we are in constant contact with the local officials in all of our areas, to include the Memphis area and West Memphis area. We stay in constant contact with them, and if we have an area we're concerned about, we're going to let them know so that they can make sure the public knows the proper way. So that's, again, the message we want to get out to everybody, is continue to stay tuned to your local officials and understand the situation and what's going on. And we'll let them know if we feel that there's structural integrity issues, so that they can let the public know. And I can just tell you that working with the city of Memphis and Shelby County, they're a Class A organization. They've been doing a great job, and I'm really impressed with the way they've handled this potentially disastrous situation. So that said, I'll go ahead and take a few questions.